joined by Ben McKee from Lexington. Ben, Tennessee, not able to come back at the end of game two. That's not surprising. I mean, they were down 2 runs, ended up being a 3-run game. Before all was said and done, they lose the game 2, 5-2. Touch and go in game three, but Tennessee pulls away late. They score in their final 3 frames and pull away to win 7-2.
Yeah, I thought Drew Beam was pretty good on the mound. He did allow 6 hits, but only gave up 1 walk and was able to work out of a couple of jams. And this weekend just sucked from a weather standpoint, circumstance standpoint. Last night stopping and starting, and then even today with Drew Beam, he got up to 6 hits and was able to battle through on and off rain. I mean, and it would sprinkle, it would be no rain, it would pour down rain. The conditions were just miserable. It's freezing cold here. I don't understand how it's May 7th and it feels like I'm up here for a basketball game. But credit to Drew Beam for battling there and giving his offense enough time to get going in order to pull out the win. Cortland Lawson had a big opposite field home run into the bullpen. Luke Lipsius against the lefty with runners on second and third. Kentucky goes to the lefty, which is the smart play. And Luke is able, because the infield is in, to bounce a ground ball over the first baseman's head, gives Tennessee the lead. Redmond Walsh then comes in and pitches really well. And Redmond was really good on the weekend, bouncing back from his loss against Auburn last weekend, pitched really well twice this weekend. And then Jordan Beck with a big home run to in this series, you needed insurance runs. And those 3 runs on the home run were big insurance runs.
Yeah, I thought the hit from and really the whole sequence there with Lipsius was huge because you kind of got a pseudo bunt. It was a scrape, try to swipe of a ball by Trey Lipscomb that ends up looking like a bunt and able to move over Gilbert. It just kind of felt like things were starting to go the right way for Tennessee right there. And they're able to get the big chop single from Lipsius to give them a 2-run lead and make it 4-2. I thought that was big because Luke struggled, I think, the last several weeks, just to be consistent. He's had moments, but, I thought, that was a big hit at a big time because if that thing had went into the 7th, tied up, Tennessee, I think, would have been in a tough spot just because they had no juice all weekend, Ben. The first juice they got was the 3-run homer there. At the end of the game. And you don't have to hit home runs to get juice, but it just felt like Tennessee never was able to really hit many balls hard in the 3-game set with Kentucky.
No, I thought you summarized it perfectly. Nothing was going Tennessee's way until Luke was able to bounce that ball over the first baseman. They did catch a break when Kentucky had runners on the corners and the ball hits, or maybe it was runners on first and second, but they had 2 runners on and the ball hits the Kentucky runner and gets Tennessee out of the inning. Luke also made a great play at first base. I know there's some frustration with Luke's play over the last couple of weeks, but I also think he's been unlucky at times, especially this weekend. Last night, he hits a ground ball through the hole that the second baseman for Kentucky makes a great play on, robs him of a hit, a run, and RBI. And then today, Tennessee puts on a hit and run. He hits it as well as you can, just right at the left fielder. So I do believe there's been some bad luck in there, but he's also been playing great defense, and he has the second highest on base percentage, which is why you're going to see him continue to be in the lineup, obviously. Tony Vitello spoke really highly of him after the game, and he did get the momentum going there because, to your point, Austin, nothing was going Tennessee's way. Go back to the extra innings game on Thursday night, the stop and starting on Friday night in game 2, and then up until that Luke base hit and when Kentucky hit the runner with its own ground ball, nothing was going Tennessee's way. So it's one of those weekends where you try to salvage game 3 and get back to Knoxville and get ready for a good Georgia team next weekend.
Yeah, Tennessee will have at least a 6-game lead over Georgia heading into next weekend. And we'll see where they're at with Arkansas in the overall SEC picture. Right now, they got a 3-game lead in the loss column. Arkansas's lost 7, but they've got some games to play this weekend. I think Tennessee picked a good time against a kind of a dud opponent to kind of have their kind of moment. They did not hit the ball well. They did not pitch the ball that well. The weather was terrible. It was a stop and start weekend, as you pointed out. But at the end of the day, I don't think it really, hurts Tennessee. And maybe it's a good wake-up call, going against a Kentucky team that was, just trying to fight and scrap and claw to get to Hoover and play in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment. At some point, it was good for Tennessee to lose a series. Ideally, sure, you'd like to run the table and not drop a series, but it was bound to happen at some point. There's only ever been 2 teams that have run the table. So at some point you're going to lose one. It's just frustrating to do it against this Kentucky team. I know Kentucky just took 2 of 3, but I didn't think Kentucky played all that well. And entering the weekend, looking at them on paper, that's why you play the games, but looking at them on paper, they had the worst defense fielding percentage in the SEC, second most errors committed, and they made every spectacular play all weekend long. Unbelievable play after unbelievable play. They're not very good at the plate. They're so pitching. They walk a lot of guys. So it's okay that they lost a series. Better now than later. It'll allow them to remember that they're not invincible. It's just frustrating to do it against this Kentucky team that I don't think is very good.
And let's not forget, it's hard to get yourself personally jacked up when there's 14 people in the stands. It's raining cats and dogs, and there's just no atmosphere. There'll be atmosphere next week when Tennessee returns home against the Georgia team that's right behind them. Now, granted, it's going to be at least 6 games behind them, but there's still a pretty good Georgia team next weekend that comes to Lindsey Nelson Stadium. For Ben McKee, hey, Ben, by the way, before I let you go, here's your tip. The sun never shines in Lexington. It always looks like it looks behind you right now. I've never seen the sunshine in that state. That's a fact. He's Ben McKee. I'm Austin Price. Tennessee does avoid the sweep. They get a win in Game 3 today, 7-2.